If you're waiting for progress to look obvious, you might miss it entirely because some of the most important growth doesn't clap, speak, or show up on charts. It happens quietly, subtly, in moments that are easy to overlook, especially when you're exhausted and hoping for something clearer. Today, we're talking about the signs progress is happening even when it feels invisible, especially for parents raising neurodivergent children. If you've ever thought nothing is changing or are we even moving forward, this video is for you. This isn't about denying challenges or pretending everything is fine. It's about learning to recognize growth that doesn't follow traditional timelines, but still matters deeply. This is not clinical advice, it's perspective, reassurance, and gentle reframing offered with respect for how hard this journey can be. Ready? Because this is Kind Parent Collective. Less perfect parent, more real one. Progress often shows up emotionally first. Before skills change, emotions often do. A child might still struggle with transitions, communication, or regulation, but their emotional response may soften. They might recover a little faster after a hard moment. They might seek comfort instead of completely shutting down. Or they might tolerate frustration for a few seconds longer than before. These shifts are easy to miss because they don't look like success. But emotional growth lays the foundation for everything else. Many therapists and child development specialists talk about regulation as a prerequisite for learning, meaning emotional safety often improves before outward skills do. That emotional shift is progress, even if nothing else seems different yet. Recovery time matters more than the meltdown itself. Meltdowns can feel discouraging, especially when they still happen. But progress isn't always about whether meltdowns occur, it's about what happens after. Does your child recover more quickly? Do they return to baseline sooner? Do they need less time, fewer supports, or less intensity to feel okay again? A meltdown that once lasted an hour but now lasts 20 minutes is a meaningful change, even if it still feels hard in the moment. Shorter recovery times signal that the nervous system is learning slowly how to come back to safety. Your child may be communicating more than you realize. Communication doesn't always become clearer. Sometimes it becomes different. A child might gesture instead of speak, or lead you by the hand, or use sounds, expressions, or behaviors that consistently mean the same thing. They may protest earlier instead of waiting until they're overwhelmed. That's progress. When children begin expressing needs earlier, even imperfectly, it shows growing self-awareness and trust. They're learning that communication matters and that someone will respond. Speech isn't the only sign of communication growth. Understanding that can completely change how progress feels. Increased boundaries can mean increased safety. This one surprises many parents. Sometimes progress looks like more resistance, more no, more pushing back, more clear preferences. When a child feels safer and more regulated, they may begin asserting themselves more. That doesn't mean things are getting worse. It often means the child feels secure enough to express disagreement, discomfort, or choice. Setting boundaries requires awareness and confidence. Those skills don't appear without internal growth. Your child is trying it before they succeed. Trying is invisible if you're only watching outcomes. A child might pause before reacting, even if they still react. They might attempt a strategy you've practiced, even if it doesn't fully work yet. They might show effort in small ways that don't lead to immediate success. These moments matter. Learning doesn't happen in clean lines, it happens through attempts, misfires, and gradual refinement. Noticing effort instead of results helps parents see progress that's otherwise hidden. Progress often shows up at home first. Many parents worry when progress isn't visible in public settings, but home is where children feel safest, and safety is where growth often appears first. Your child might regulate better at home, communicate more freely, or unmask behaviors they suppress elsewhere. That doesn't mean they're holding it together everywhere else. It means they trust you enough to be themselves. Progress in safe spaces counts. It's not less valid because it's private. Your child may be building skills internally. Some learning happens quietly. Children often observe long before they participate. They process language, routines, and expectations internally before showing outward change. A child may seem disengaged but later surprise you by using a skill you didn't know they were practicing. This kind of progress feels invisible until it suddenly isn't. Developmental specialists often note that skills can appear suddenly after long periods of internal processing. That waiting period is still growth, even if it feels stagnant. Increased flexibility is a huge sign of growth. Flexibility doesn't mean easygoing. It might mean tolerating a small change without shutting down completely, or accepting a slightly different routine, or transitioning with support instead of total resistance. These changes are subtle and easy to dismiss, especially when challenges remain. But flexibility reflects nervous system resilience, and that's a powerful form of progress. You might be adapting because your child is growing. Sometimes progress shows up in you first. You may notice that you're adjusting your language, pacing, or expectations, not because things are failing, but because you're responding to growth. You might be offering different supports than you did months ago. That doesn't mean progress isn't happening. It often means your child's needs are changing. Parent adaptation is often a response to subtle developmental shifts. Fewer crises doesn't mean no challenges. Progress doesn't erase difficulty. A child can still struggle while also growing. The absence of dramatic breakthroughs doesn't mean nothing is working. Sometimes progress means fewer emergencies, fewer moments that feel unmanageable. Stability itself is progress, even if it doesn't feel exciting. Your child might be showing more trust. Trust is a quiet sign of progress. Seeking comfort, allowing support, staying close during hard moments, letting you help regulate their body or emotions. These behaviors signal safety and connection. Trust doesn't develop overnight. It grows slowly through consistency, patience, and responsiveness. If your child is leaning into connection more often, that matters deeply. Progress isn't linear, and that's normal. Growth rarely moves in one direction. There will be leaps forward, pauses, and steps back. Stress, illness, changes, or development itself can temporarily make skills disappear. That doesn't erase progress, it's part of the process. Many professionals describe development as a spiral rather than a straight line, revisiting the same challenges with new tools each time. You're not missing progress, it's just quiet. Parents often feel pressure to prove progress, but progress doesn't owe anyone evidence. It doesn't need to be visible to teachers, family members, or social media. If things feel slightly less heavy than they used to, even briefly, something is changing. If you're waiting for progress to look obvious, loud, or impressive, you're not wrong for wanting that. But progress often whispers before it speaks. At Kind Parent Collective, we believe that growth deserves recognition, even when it's subtle, slow, or hard to explain. Remember, you're not imagining movement where there is none. You're learning to see it differently. And that too is progress. And if today was rough, you still did enough. Catch you on the next one.